appreciate y'all for jumping on, because I know we've all been living in this virtual world for much longer than we wanted. And we were likely all hoping that we were off of it. Only folks who are not developers. My son is a tech developer, and he is enjoying being virtual and not going to the office. So everybody outside of developers is having a good time. So I'm gonna pretend that my screen will give you the right screen. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna share my screen. Yay, I think I have it, my audience window. Share. Let's see, do you see Ali Muldrow's beautiful face there? Yes, so I am a fast talker. So if you have a car to sell, come and call on me. But I can only see a small strip of you. So if you have a question, I am that person who is perfectly okay if you unmute yourself and say, hey, Sabrina, could you repeat that? I got a quick question. You know, could you go back because you were talking so fast and I'm not interested in buying anything from you in this call. So please feel free to interrupt, because I am an interrupter and I love those kinds of folks. So I'm going to just give you sort of a quick about the Progress Center, some programming, some membership. I'll give you a virtual tour of our space. And I really, I'll do my best not to talk really fast, but I really want to, I'm a discussion kind of person. So I really want to leave lots of room for discussion. Okay, y'all, here we go. So all the women in the photos are real women that I know. None of these women are stock photos. So I just want to point that out. All right, let's go. So just a little overview of what I'll chat about. The one that says a virtual tour is a video. So make sure during the video, if you've fallen asleep, that's the time to make sure you're awake. I don't want you to say I missed the tour, Sabrina. Okay, so I am the founder. Woo, yay! That's my COVID headshot, because I have not been able to get into a studio to get new photos. And I was very proud of my Christmas tree. I won't read my bio, but I've won tons of awards. I worked for Madison College for about 10 to 12 years after being a student, and I quit in 2016 with a little warning. I'm very proud of that. I had no plan, but within 2 months of quitting my job, I put on a sold out Black Women's Leadership Conference, and I've just been going since then. I haven't slowed down. And then I also need a vacation too. All righty, so the problem. Why do the Black women in our community need the Progress Center for Black women? So take 20 seconds and try to answer that for yourself. Why do the Black women in our community need the Progress Center for Black women? So I'm going to ask 3 folks to just tell me, why do you think we need it quickly? I don't want to have to call you out, but 3 folks. Why do the Black women in our community need the Progress Center for Black women?
Because there aren't very many women in Madison as a proportion of the population, so it's hard for them to get connected.
Yes, that's a great answer. 2.
Barriers that are faced in the community or system.
Yes, definitely. All right, one more, because I know y'all are all brilliant.
I would say lack of available businesses that may serve your unique interests.
Yes, that's a good one. All right, y'all, I see y'all on it. I might have to go ahead and join and really be all up in this committee. All right. So, you know, I have to make sure it's going to work first. So Black women overwhelmingly report feeling isolated and excluded, both in the workplace and this overall community. I've definitely felt isolated, even coming in a very much crowded downtown. And so Black women definitely face a 90% wealth gap. The other day was Black Women's Equal Pay Day. I believe Black women have to work about 529 days just to earn the same amount of money as white men. And I won't read all of this because I know we're all pretty good at reading and reading what's on screen, but that gender wage gap is right here in Dane County. That is not a great thing. It should be something that we're all advocating for changing in our respective areas. So 55% of Black women renters are rent burdened. That is more than definitely true here in Dane County, where women are oftentimes paying over 40–50% of their income just to remain in their housing. And then only about 0.5%, so not even a full percent of all the single Black women own their own business. And that is a rate that is 24 times lower than that for single white men. If you just look around in Dane County, we can think of Coco Vile, we can think of Jasmine Banks, but we're going to run out of names very quickly for Black women-owned businesses. So I just love these women, y'all. So if I stop and talk about them, it's because I miss them because we've been in COVID all year. And so the Progress Center for Black Women was really created because I'm not really a complainer. I don't spend a lot of time like feeling sad about problems. I'm more so like, what can we do to solve the problem? So Black women were, especially even while I was at the college, but definitely after I left the college, Black women were coming to me because they felt isolated in Madison. They didn't necessarily get the support they were looking for, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's professional development, whether it's their personal finances. And so what really stuck out to me is that Black women were just really looking for sisterhood. They were looking for somebody that they can lean on, who would educate them, who would teach them, and who would not look down on them. Because sometimes there are programs and services here, but it doesn't necessarily feel welcoming. Like you feel like you're a problem, you know, you're trying to get a problem resolved, but you're treated like a problem. So about us, I won't get into all of this, but what I do want to say, the primary goal for the center is to just create Black women who are leaders, doers, and owners. And if I look back at 2016 from that first conference, we've very much contributed to that. One of my early goals was to make sure that I and other folks in this community can read even more about Black women in our local papers. So since 2016, I have pitched hundreds of stories, and I've seen lots of these Black women be written about, then recorded, have their stories shared. I myself, when I made Essence Magazine's 2018 Woke Black Women list, the local press also picked that up. So in the time that I've been very intentional about helping Black women grow, we've seen them get raises, we've seen them quit jobs like I did. Even if you take the woman in the previous slide here, Keena Atkinson, we paid for her to get her yoga instruction license and then provided her a stipend because she would not have been able to complete such an intense course because she had to take all this time off work. So we very much are part of, you know, hundreds of women's success stories, and not just here in Wisconsin, but across the country, we've helped women. All right, and because it seems like you all are reading and you're doing your due diligence to do the work, I highly suggest that folks read Bell Hooks' book, All About Love. Just read it, get into you some Bell Hooks, you know, light your candle, throw on your Jill Scott, you know, get into it. So would you guys like to see the new space? Yes. So I think I have enough time to share this and still finish. So let's see. Oops, it just went back. So let me go to the correct screen. Nope. All right, let's switch, stop share. And let's share new screen. That's where I'm at. Okay, let's just get back to my regular screen here. So as I'm transitioning back to this screen, what do you guys think of the space?
Amazing.
Lovely.
Just incredible.
Right? And that transition video, I was like, I need folks to see we came from 800 square feet to 400 square feet. So I won't read, because I really hate reading at people. It makes me really, I don't like to be read at, but I'll just highlight a couple of our accomplishments. We've accomplished a lot since we opened up that first space in 2018. One of the things that I'm most proud of is the one-on-one coaching and resource connections to 75 plus Black women from across the state of Wisconsin. Everyone from folks who are dealing with some work-related issues to new business owners to folks who are trying to grow their business. A few other things that stand out to me. I did tell you about the pilot we just wrapped up. The pilot now we'll evaluate it and we'll start offering workshops, I think once a week beginning in September. And two, we shifted around when COVID hit, we shifted all of our support to funding Black women, rent, utilities, that sort of thing, groceries. But overall, in those last 3 years, we've served over 350 plus households around financial support. And sometimes we're also dealing with some DV, domestic violence related issues, because folks very much trust us and trust me, we oftentimes are dealing with women who might be very well connected and known in the community, and they don't really have a private place to turn to, so they may turn to us. And so a couple more things that stands out over the years, we've provided over 400 photos to for families with a Black Santa. This year, we're working to partner with the Children's Museum and offer that event outdoors over a weekend. Again, I've won tons of awards, including Best of Madison Business in 2019 and being named one of Essence Magazine's 2018 Woke Black Women. This is just a highlight of a couple women, a couple events, but the biggest thing is we started this one that I'm circling here. This is maybe the 2019 Black Women's Leadership Conference. I started that conference with I think 125 women, and I lost count of ticket sales once we hit 300 that year. So it grew pretty quickly. Okay. So programming at our new space will look like in these 3 areas: entrepreneurship, financial health, and ambition. We would have launched our Black Women's Leadership Accelerator in March 2020, but of course, Governor Evers told us all to sit home, wear our mask, don't leave the house very much, And so instead of launching an accelerator where maybe 10 to 12 women will follow each other over 12 weeks, we'll also offer those as part of our workshop series throughout the year. So no matter what time of the year, as long as it's not a holiday, as long as I'm not in Atlanta, hanging out over a weekend, we will offer 1 to 3 workshops in the space starting in mid-September around these 3 core areas. These areas were selected and have been, they sort of rose to the top after we evaluated our first 2 years. And so we realized that it's these 3 core areas where if we can impact Black women in this space, we can very much turn their lives around and just, create more opportunities for them to thrive and to win. Okay, so membership. So this will change just a little bit, but I just wanted to give you a couple highlights. So we flipped our model to a membership model because we really want Black women to feel like they have ownership, that this thing is theirs, it belongs to them. So a couple highlights, you get the membership only side, which also we're developing an app to go along with it. We are working on partner discounts. We have already met with everyone, I think from B-Cycle to Dragonfly Yoga and Little Luxury. So the goal is within walking distance from us, members should be able to get a discount for some ice cream, get a discount to, go get your yoga on, go and stretch. So if you have any ideas on spaces that I might not be aware of, or I haven't already had a meeting with, I'm open to emails and open to suggestions. Maybe you have like a favorite lunch place you think we should hit up. Let me know. And I want to also shout out Cooper's Tavern because they offered up their upstairs for networking happy hours. We have an extensive lending library, as you saw from the videos, and folks who take the entrepreneurial level can use us as their business mailing address with some other perks. And memberships are very affordable. I believe it's 15, 25, and 50. So I'll spend a lot of time fundraising to make sure they stay affordable. So the other folks who helped me build Sakara Wages is like the person who loves research. I don't know if you've ever met people, Sarah might be like this from hearing what she shared, but people who eat, sleep, breathe grants and research. That is our girl, Sakara. Jasmine Appleton, we just brought on as our creative entrepreneurial opportunities. I am interviewing this Friday for a community manager. We have 2 interns and we just brought on 3 ambassadors of joy, mindful movement, and entrepreneurship. So this slide doesn't have much details because I got a phone call about a week ago saying that, the Progressive had moved out next door to us, and that's about another 2,500 square feet next to us. And so the owners of the building is willing to take out that wall, of course, at no additional cost. They're willing to drop the price down considerably. And surprisingly, Black women have been reaching out to us asking about private office space. So we are in conversation about taking down my beautiful wall and opening it up to expand into the rest of that space because it also has 3 private offices. And we would also likely be able to do drop-in childcare, which is in our long-term goals. Okay, so what's next? So, and this is sort of like, anybody know Jasmine Banks and her perfect imperfections? Please, please, please support Jasmine Banks. But all real women, the bottom 3 women are all now college graduates and just are teaching and leading in their own respective areas too. So I just got to throw that out there. But the 3 ways, because folks always say, hey, Sabrina, how can we help? How can we support the Progress Center for Black Women? There are, at least for me, these are the 3 most urgent needs, I guess, or more prominent needs, So it's 1, pitching in to support one of the workshop series. That just looks like your support, offering speaker stipends, food. People love to eat when they come to a workshop if it's in person, making sure we can cover all the tech. We take on also providing some women with Chromebooks, which are not too expensive, because we also realized, like lots of us realized when COVID hit, folks did not have the technology they needed. And we saw folks taking our own workshops during COVID on their children's school laptops. So I was like, this is wild. And a Chromebook is under $300 now. So definitely matching your skills or your company skills to our workshop needs. So in about 2 weeks, I'll have a tentative list of workshop areas we'll lead in. And then it's like, hey, you're like, Sabrina, I'm very much great at marketing. I would love to teach a workshop around this area. Hit us up. And then partner with us to offer benefits to our members and the Progress Center overall. That may look like discounts. It may look like, hey, Sabrina, our building has an extra meeting room, or we have a space where you can host 75 folks, or we have one of the best smart rooms and we know you're leading workshops, give our smart room a try. And then it may be volunteering just to offer us some additional support around web development, marketing, photography, staff development, those sorts of things. And shopping with Jasmine Banks, of course. So I do have to shout out UW Credit Union because they were really good. We wrote a 2-year proposal for the Financial Health Academy based on what we've learned over the last few years. Like I said, we just finished that 6-week pilot. Each week, those families with their young people, with their kids, with their husbands, they participated in a different financial topic led by Black speakers. And they set a financial goal and they had to hit the financial goal in 6 weeks, and 100% of those folks will hit it, or will hit it when, for example, they use our $1,000 towards the last bit of money needed to buy a car, like a 17-year-old saved all of her little work check these last couple of weeks, and our money is the last little bit she needs to go to the dealer and buy her car. And then UW Health definitely have been very, very supportive over the years and helped us be able to fund this space right away as far as like furniture, paint, those sort of needs, and pay the design team. MG&E also came in and supported this physical space as well. So if you're out in the community, you see UW Health, MG&E, or folks from UW Credit Union, don't hug them because we're still in COVID, but just say Sabrina wants to, I want to shout you out on behalf of Sabrina because she is over there happy. The Black women are over here happy, and it's because your funding helped to make this happen. So there are 3 ways you can also support, especially if you're a social media person. You can follow us on our socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Invest. I've given you a couple ways you can do that. Another way is to support our community funded memberships. So sometimes folks will hit me up and they say, hey, Sabrina, I'm a white woman. I don't know if I should be, coming in physically into your space, which you're welcome to do. But if you don't, you can still use your dollars to support a membership for someone else. And then review us. I love reviews. So treat us like Yelp. Go out there and let other folks know how the Progress Center is doing, how they're doing in the community. Because I go out and read reviews, even of nonprofits. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing, but I got to say, do y'all see how happy she is? Do y'all see it? That is from one of our Black Women's Leadership Conference. We also make space for teen girls and young adults. And that's the kind of joy that folks are getting when they come into the space all the time. And I'm just fast forwarding this, so I know that I still got to go back and edit some things later. So I'm going to hit stop. Again, I am not someone who likes to sit on Zoom and talk to you and share PDF slides because it makes me absolutely crazy. So I would just like to have a conversation. So any questions for me? Anything you want to know? Shout out to US Bank for feeding folks coming up next week. Okay,
right.
Brenda.
I got a question.
Oh, Jay.
Yeah. So it looks amazing. And so much of what I see you presenting is about entrepreneurship. Yep. And I have poor Black women in my social circle that are probably not in that mindset. But I'm wondering for women who are more just getting by and trying to make their life better, but aren't necessarily going to become entrepreneurs. Do you have resources for them? And should we be referring them to you guys as well?
Yes, please, because those women are the women who we end up building a relationship with, and they find that entrepreneurial skill. Like maybe they become caterers, they become bakers. They do actually end up finding a skill they could generate income from. So yes, please send them our way. And I'll send Jason the last slide. There's our 4x6. I'll send Jason a copy of the 4x6.
Yeah, Sabrina, we can send everything out to this committee. Everyone's here right now in the whole committee. So whatever information, send it to me and I'll get it right out to the committee. I think with Brenda or Gavin was up next. Can't remember.
I'm so used to being like, because I chair the city's economic development committee. So I'm always like listening for Madam Chair to know if I'm supposed to.
Madam Chair, you can take over this meeting by all means.
Absolutely.
Back here.
Gavin, you're next.
Oh, Brenda, if you had something, you go ahead. Okay, Sabrina, thank you so much for spending time with the committee. I'm kind of tangentially involved. Most of these people on this call probably don't know me because I haven't been that involved with this committee up to this point, but I think I'm going to try to find my way through. So I just want to kind of pose a couple of real questions to you that are maybe a little uncomfortable, but I feel like given that we're the diversity and inclusion and equity committee, I think we can probably handle it.
Go for it.
I'm really glad that you brought up someone hesitating about white people being in the space, because I feel like that's something that I know that myself as a well-meaning white person, I would want to I've heard oftentimes just show up, be there, help, support, but I also know that this is a space that you're intentionally trying to create for Black women to feel comfortable. So I'm just kind of wondering, is there besides the investment of money and skills and that kind of stuff, is there any kind of thing that you would tell the white people on the call of this is how we'd appreciate you interacting with the space or not interacting, create some boundaries? I don't know.
Yep. I love telling white folks what to do. For folks who know me well, they know I will walk in and be like, okay, white people, So in short, I always tell white folks that we don't change our programming to make it sort of center you. We center Black women in 100% of everything we do. And two, we are working on, I'm not really a fan of things like ally cookies, ally socks, ally t-shirts. So corny, doesn't really get to change. But I'm a good conversationalist. I like talking. I like talking with people. I like moving people through discussion. So one thing that we are working on is hosting a series of talkback sessions. I think Jason is taking part in one on Tuesday, the 17th. Don't quote me on the date because my days are all over the place right now. But for example, we're going to invite the design team from this space, UW Health, DMI, to discuss why we need to hire Black design teams and what kind of outcomes they can create for the folks they serve. So we are working to create spaces where it'll sort of like, you'll know this is an opportunity you should definitely participate in. The other thing we do, which we did in our former space and we'll do here as well, is do community co-working days. Because I was also looking for a way where folks to know, you know, this isn't just the Black Women's Day, but this is open to the entire community. So once a week, we'll host community co-working day. So, and I encourage white people to come in because you too need to feel what it feels like to be the only white person in a room. So we have had, not that I want to be like your, you know, like your test sort of, but as a social science person, I do like those sort of things. So I'll be honest. But at the Black Women's Leadership Conference, I remember getting emails from white women saying, oh my God, I was so uncomfortable. Like they were like the only white women in the room, but they were like, everybody made them feel comfortable, but they were asking themselves, why did I need that or think about that? And so community co-working days, our talk back series, because there are things that I think that I can be helpful with that white folks come to me privately about that I can create discussions around. So whether the talkbacks happen here in person or they're over Zoom, just know that those are out there. And then the community co-working days.
Great, thank you. I
Hopefully, does that answer the question?
Yeah. It really does. I mean, I also, I have another question, but I'm going to hold it.
No, I want to hear it.
Well, but I'm going to like pause and see if other people have questions because I don't want to be that guy who like asks all these questions before anybody else.
Gavin, let's go for another round and then go back to you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Any other questions? Anyone?
Well, since I know Gavin will talk, even if I don't say anything, I just wanted to thank you, Sabrina, for naming what Gavin just asked about, which is the discomfort that white people bring into these spaces. I really appreciate your frankness about that. And I just want to congratulate you on what I saw in your achievements. It was really, it's new for me. I've fangirled you a little bit from a distance. So it's really nice to just meet you on Zoom.
Well,
and thank you for sharing.
I got plenty of coffee.
Oh,
I got plenty of coffee, plenty of tea.
Brenda can tell you should not give me coffee. No. Thank you, though. And thank you, Gavin.
Yeah, Sabrina, I will ask my other question then.
Yes.
Since there are no other burning questions that just came up. I think this is another potentially uncomfortable question here, but I'm just going to ask it.
Sure.
I think a lot of people in these spaces, which is to say white dominated spaces that harbor like economic development discussions and even community-based organizations and nonprofits, are eager to have more Black people in general, but Black women specifically involved in their organizations in some way. And I've found that in Madison in particular, there's a huge, like, especially at UW, which is where I work, there's like a tokenism that happens often. It's like, hey, we got a Black woman on our board. We're good. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, for people who like legitimately do want to bring diverse perspectives into their organization through advisory boards or councils or whatever it is, what do you think might be the most respectful way to go about that through your organization? Maybe there is a way, maybe there's not a way. Maybe you're not a good person to talk to about that.
So I would say it should always start with the organization doing some self-work, some self-check, because oftentimes folks will reach out to me. Hey, Sabrina, we got this problem. Hey, Sabrina, we need to know more Black people, more African-Americans, whatever way they feel, they're trying to struggle and say it. And I'm like, just get the thing out, first of all. But it takes doing some self-work. So when you're meeting with me or you're inviting me, you're not unnecessarily creating harm on top of me, because that's what ends up happening. So someone met with me recently and basically were asking me to solve all these problems with no budget. And I was like, outside of the Progress Center, I also consult. So don't come to me with a whole host of problems with no budget, because especially from working at the college and serving on other committees and boards, I know there's always a sizable budget to solve problems. The other thing is just building very authentic relationships. So if you come spend time at the Progress Center, you come to discussions and that sort of thing, we just naturally build a vibe. You naturally meet other Black women who are taking part in these spaces. And then there has to be sort of like an identified like exchange. So you invite Black women into, let's say, an advisory board. What does she get in return? Does she get some sort of added benefit? Maybe it's, I don't know, some sort of extra training or dollars, like a stipend or something. You know, I'm very big on like stipends because Black women are asked to serve in lots of capacities and they're struggling financially. But I just think creating, like figuring out what do you have to give, because me joining a board or a committee or an advisory group, I'm doing it because I really want to be engaged. Like DMI, you know, I'll be honest with you, I was really Jason's leadership. I didn't know the rest of y'all, but I knew Jason was very like, you know, high energy or whatever. And then I saw Brenda, I think chairs or leads this committee. So I knew Brenda's work in the community. Like I didn't know Mark was on here. I didn't know Lisa was here, but it was their energy that got me to come to the, you know, have interest here. Otherwise, it's just a drain on my time to be in spaces sometimes with white folks because they have not read a book, watched a YouTube video, or done the work. So I say, do the work so you are not, so you find the places in your discussion and just you being who you are, where you might be creating harm without realizing it, you know. And then just, you know, like, come and kick it. Like, don't ask for nothing when you get here. Just come and kick it, you know.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks for the honesty. I mean, this is very consistent with a lot of conversations that I've had, but it's not as explicit as how you just made it. And so that's why I really appreciate you.
That's why I quit my job to work for Black women, so I could just, you know, I was like this at the college too, but I'm sure Dr. Daniels was like, Sabrina gotta go, you know, but I went on my own.
Thank you. That is great. And absolutely. Well, that's part of what the conversation that we want to create here at the Inclusiveness Committee is all about. So I'm really hoping that as you see the opportunities that you are interested in joining, I know that many of you are not necessarily part of the committee, but you know, maybe there is a chance that you might be interested in some of these conversations. So other questions?
One thing I do want to say, I think I would love to just host this committee, you know, once, whether it's a Zoom or we're in a month where, you know, there's less Delta variant. I don't know when that's going to happen, but, you know, in your future plans, I just would like to host this committee, whether it's small group over a couple months, just because, again, I like good conversation. And I think that we could sort of break some of this stuff down through discussion.
Oh, yes, we have to schedule it. I think that is exactly what we're looking for, right? I mean, having the conversation, but also taking some action. So yes, very excited. Absolutely, Sabrina. And you have to come and visit me at the South Madison Partnership.
We'll do a swap. I'll come visit you.
There you go. Perfect. I like that. Other questions? I know there are just a couple of minutes.
Y'all listen, and just so you know, if you're the kind of person who's sitting on a question because you're like, I don't know if I should ask this or say this, I'm the perfect person for that question because I don't take anything personal and nothing you say is going to hurt my feelings, like, at all. So, but how are you doing, Mary Ferrier? Because you just look I just got to say, like, you keep popping up on my screen down there. Since no one asks a question, I'm going to ask, how are you doing?
Hi, Sabrina. I'm great. Brenda invited me, and I'm so glad she did. I worked with her at the partnership space. So
see, that's why. See, she hired good energy people.
We are very lucky to have each other. So, but I actually have a question. So I you knew. But we're in a physical space just like you. And I think we really think a lot about access and being welcoming to people and many different types of people, race included, but also different other types of diversity. And just being someone who's done this work for a long time, I was just curious if you have any thoughts on, you know, what to be critical of and pay attention to, particularly in a real physical space.
One thing I would say, definitely don't miss that talk back with the design team who did our space, because that's really the conversation that we're having around the physical space around us. But it's also, I really think that especially organizations that are predominantly white should do a culture walk with the folks of color who are employed there or support or our neighbors, and really walk through and allow those folks to be honest without, you know, reprimand, simply because I won't name the institutions, but I see institutions spend all this money on, like, you know, old art. Like, I don't want to go into a building anymore and see like 150-year-old Black woman, you know, in a very sort of depressed state. And that's the diversity you've offered me. I can see her, but where is the other? Where's the and? So I just think sometimes it's simply just walking from the parking lot and walking around these physical spaces and figuring out, we're not just going to buy like 1 or 2 pieces of art from, like, you know, some art dealer who doesn't even know your community, but walking the space with the people of color who you employ or partner with or volunteer with, because they're going to have real insight. When we created our space back at Fitchburg and here, we went to Black women and said, how do you want to use this space? What should it look like? That's why there's like 3 or 4 like chandeliers, you know, because they all wanted freaking chandeliers, you know? So it's that sort of thing, allowing people, inviting them authentically to help shape the space. So that's it's not, I just want to say, y'all, it is not hard, but you got to be willing to open up your budget to allow people to design with you, not for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I know it's 5 o'clock. Go ahead, Sabrina.
I was going to answer to Sarah. I'll send Jason the link for the Zoom, because I got to email it to the participants anyway, so you guys get it.
Perfect. So I know that a couple of questions about membership to the Inclusiveness Committee. We'll send more information. Jason hopefully will help me out just to make sure that, you know, everybody that is interested, we can make sure that you receive the meeting information. And yay, we have more members. Yay. Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah, thank y'all for inviting me, you know, and again, and I'll also send Jason the tour dates. You're more than welcome to drop by and kick it authentically before that session, you know, before the new faces, new places.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll connect. We'll have something hopefully soon to start thinking about when do we maybe host a meeting at your space, or, you know, depending on how things are developing from our public health partners and what they share. So we need to be careful and safe. I really appreciate you, Sabrina. Thank you for what you're doing. Representation matters. There's a lot more that I can say. We go way back. And I remember exactly when we met. So I'm super excited about all the things that we're doing and how we're creating and helping really making the space more welcoming for all of us. So it's certainly very important. Thank you. Jason, anything else that I'm missing?
No, Brenda, as always, fantastic work. Sabrina, personally, thank you very, very, very much. One quick note from us, you saw in the chat too, we've got a great speaker, 2 speakers, I'm sorry, at the next What's Up Downtown Breakfast on the 26th from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. You guys have heard them before here, Aaron Birdbear and Omar Caller from UW. Really important presentation. So please join us. It's hybrid. So either live at the Edgewater Hotel or via Zoom. And Sabrina participated in the last meeting via Zoom. So that technology, we hope, Sabrina, worked out very well.
Yep. I was able to get my questions. So yeah, it worked.
We've got a way to get questions. So please do join us for that important. And Sabrina, thank you. That's all I can say. Fantastic work. We're so thankful for you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.